Just another girl in the Artistic Gymnastics Academy. Chapter 3. That afternoon was extraordinary. I continued to practice some exercises in the living room of the apartment, but very soon it became clear that I needed more space and my mother permitted me to go out into the garden. The garden was not private, it was part of the set of 15 semi-luxury buildings in which we lived. Between the buildings, there were green areas, fountains, children's games, parking, and a commercial area, all in a kind of private subdivision with limited access and surveillance. Anyway, I went out to the garden in my long-sleeved white leotard with sparkles and the V-neck with a blue and a red line, which were the school colors. During the first hour or so, I was practicing flow routines and modifying some exercises with which I could beat the other girls, especially Magali, who the truth is, I didn't like her badly, but since my sister said that she was better than me, it became a challenge. At that time, some people passed by the garden area that I was using, but no one gave me a strange look. If they stopped, it was to see my routine, and at some point, a young couple even applauded. I felt really happy. It was like a dream come true. At some point I had to stop to rest. I went into the apartment for a glass of water and came out again, but instead of continuing to practice, I went to the children's play area. Other boys and girls were playing there. I found a free swing and I started swinging. Remember that feeling you had when swinging very high as if you were flying? Now add the excitement of seeing my bare legs coming out of the leotard. I felt like a fairy. I jumped off the swing, of course, landed with my arms up and palms out like I was getting off the uneven bars, and went to the railing. There I ran into a kid about a year or two older than me, who told me, "You can't get on here." "Why not?" I asked. "Because you're a girl. Girls can't do this, look." He climbed on the railing and crossed it from side to side, making a childish but tender demonstration of strength and masculine superiority. If I'm honest, I have to admit that I was happy with his comment, so much so that I was about to not try it, but my competitive spirit didn't allow it, so I just said, "We girls can also, look." And I walked the railing. He tried to throw me from below, pulling me by my legs before reaching the stairs, but he couldn't, and his mother, who was watching from a nearby bench, told him to leave the girl alone. It finally got dark and my mom told me it was time to go into the house. I was exhausted but happy. She asked me to go take a shower and return the leotard to my sister while dinner was on. I asked her to please let me wear it until after dinner, so I still had the pleasure of dining in a leotard. After that wonderful day, I would like to be able to tell you that everything went well, that my mom took advantage of her first day off to take out my sister's old blue dress that I liked so much. Some white socks with ruffles and some flats. I sit in front of her dressing table, fixed my hair, which by that time was an inch longer than my ears but still not quite my shoulders, and took me to enroll in a new artistic gymnastics academy. This new academy was not very big, because it did not depend on a large private school like the one Anna Lilia attended, but it was well equipped and there was a group of just over 10 girls my age. The uniform was a sleeveless leotard, light blue with glitter and silver straps. Almost transparent tights with glitter, and pants with a jacket that we could wear on top to get to and from the academy on cold days. I would still go to the normal school, but instead of waiting for my sister at her academy or participating with her and her group, I would go home to change, put on my uniform and go to my academy, where everyone knew me. Like Valerie Marianne. Eventually my sister would get used to seeing me as her younger sister and not as her brother. My classmates and friends would invite me to their birthday parties for which my mom would have to buy me dresses and in which we would be a large group of girls playing, learning to put on makeup or talking about boys. I would also like to tell you that with the level I already had, from the first day, I excelled in the group, especially in floor exercises and on the balance beam. Later on, I mastered the horse vault and the uneven bars, but in what really stood out was on the balance beam. The day would come when we had a competition in which we would face the academy of my sister's school. In the individual all-around, Anna Lilia would get the gold medal, I would receive the silver, and Magali would finish ranked 4th. After from my new best friend. I wish I could tell you all this and more, but the truth is that things were not that simple. Now I understand that it wasn't that easy for my mom, just accepting that I wanted to put on a leotard and go to a rhythmic gymnastics academy where everyone would think I was a girl. We are talking about a time when there was no information like there is now. There was no internet, and the concept of gender, as something not directly related to sexuality, was only known by some doctors and psychologists. That wonderful day, as I told you, Was in November. Finally, Anna Lilia had her party one weekend while I was with my dad. My party consisted of inviting a couple of friends to the house to share cake, and curiously, my mom managed to get Katie to arrive, the girl I had liked since the first grade of kindergarten and who I had not seen for almost 2 years. Katie was still as beautiful as ever, but my 6th birthday was anything but memorable. Now I know that my dad would have supported me in this whole issue from the beginning. But at that time I had no idea, and we didn't even talk about it because the weekends with him were always so full of activities and joy that I hardly even thought in Valeria. When I was with him, I didn't need anything. A few days later, my mom came home and told me that she had a surprise for me, that as we had talked, she had enrolled me in an academy that I would surely like. I got very excited and just wondered if I needed to change my clothes or something like that before leaving. I asked her if something was missing and she said no, that I just got in the car so she could take me. We arrived at a sports center in the city. We got off and he took me to a karate academy. I did not understand anything. I introduced myself to the sensei, who received me very kindly, gave me my uniform, and told me to go into the dressing room to put it on. I don't need to describe the karate uniform. Let's just say that it wasn't exactly the leotard I wanted to wear. I left the dressing room with my uniform on. My mom was still there. The teacher put the belt on me and my mom told me, "How handsome you look. Do you like it?" "Yes," I told her. "But I wanted to go to artistic gymnastics." "I know, my son, but I have not found any academy that I can take you to, and many people recommended karate to me. Surely you will like it a lot. It is fun and you will learn to punch and kick super strong like Bruce Lee." "So when are we going to go to artistic gymnastics?" "I don't know. When we find an academy. But while you're going to see that, you're going to like this too." "Okay," I said, discouraged. I stayed in the karate class and the truth was not that bad. With the flexibility I already had, I was able to kick much higher than my face, and the teacher constantly congratulated me for that, and somehow it made me feel good. Christmas holidays arrived with the traditional dinner at my cousin's house. Santa Claus brought me the Roadrunner, a pedal car that I had requested, and for the 3 kings, who arrive in my country on January 6th, I had requested my leotard, but that didn't come. In its place came the uniform of the new all-male Marist Catholic school to which my mother enrolled me under the pretext that in the previous school, I had been expelled for fighting with a boy. I must confess that it did happen. I was playing on the railing and a boy made a girl fall exactly as the neighbor had tried to do to me. It took him longer to get down from the railing than to receive a kick in the face that made his nose bleed, and he came out crying to accuse me of the director. In my defense, I was defending the girl from an abusive boy. The fact is that halfway through the school year I changed to a school where there were 45 boys in each classroom. The teachers called us by the roll number and were authorized to punish us, pull our sideburns, or even hit us on the hands with the wooden ruler. Of course, before the first day of school, I got a haircut. A friend of my mom, Adolfo, convinced her that this would make me a man. The karate classes were not so bad. They were clearly useful for me to defend myself, and knowing how to fight, even though I was one of the smallest in height and weight in my class, allowed me to be one of the popular ones. Very soon I got the yellow belt, and shortly after the summer vacations arrived, which I happily spent with my father. Curiously, Anna Lilia rarely wanted to go with him anymore. So in addition to being in different schools and sports activities, we also spent weekends and vacations apart. I think when I was with my dad, the only thing I missed was my sister. Thus the school year ended in apparent calm. Psychoanalysts would say that during latency, sexual drives do not manifest, but Valeria refused to disappear. Of my classmates I did manage to distinguish one of my best friends, Mike, who was not at all unpleasant to me. He was funny, and he had a nice smile and beautiful eyes. But one day he invited me to eat at his house and I met his sister. I had to face the fact that I liked girls much more. What I did continue to like constantly were the girls' clothes and things. Particularly my sister's. Every day after eating, I went out to play, ride a bike or skate with my friend Carlos. We knew that until 6 o'clock we could do anything, because his mom worked on the television station with mine. When we started 2nd grade, this is when I was about to turn 7 years old, and the rainy season arrived. This made it impossible to go out and play, so we stayed in my apartment. We watched TV for a while and then we started looking for something to play with. We got some G.I. Joes and using some bags from Walmart we made them parachutes. but the dolls were too small for the bags. So we went to my sister's room to look for some of them, her Barbies. I think Valerie saw at that moment the opportunity to get out. While we were looking through Ana Lilia's things, I took out a dress and threw it at Carlos. Look. This one would also open as a parachute. I told him, putting it in front of him. Ha ha ha. Do you think? Why don't you try? He told me. Oh yes. I told. I don't believe you. I'll wear it if you wear this one. I took out another one and put it in front of him. He stared at the dresses and told me. Well, but you first, he said.